Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is Zero from TechDragon.info, and today we're gonna take a look at the KV-4. I was actually surprised to find that I've never made a review of the KV-4. I have no idea why. Like, why not? I've had this tank for a very long time, and for the most part, I really enjoyed playing it. Now, there's a couple of issues with it, but we'll get back to that in a later point here. So, Tier 8 heavies, I'm comparing the KV-4 to the Tiger 2 to the 110 and the T32. Well, you know what, let's take the T32 out. So, the reason I'm taking this one out is because T32 is a very different tank. It's not a brawler, it's more of a peek over a hill kind of tank. And let's add the... I guess the IS-3 would be a good comparison. IS-3, because it's the same tier and the same nation, so it will be a good side-to-side comparison here. Target 2, just to add the German mix into it, and I guess that they are sort of similar, ish. Like the 110 and the IS-3, of course, are very similar, and these two are, I guess, the most ish similar. So, let's take a look. Armor-wise, this thing is armored, like really armored. I mean 180 versus 150, 120, 110. Yeah, it is very armored. Downside is that most of its armor is pretty flat, so heat and that sort of shells will not have too much trouble penning this thing, and that's kind of the problem. Turret armor front, 180 millimeters. Not as good as the IS-3, but 180 still bounces a decent amount, but the turret is kind of the weak spot on this tank-ish. Side armor 150 is not too shabby if we take a look here. Of course the IS-3 turret is pretty good and it's rounded as well, so rear armor of 140 is actually the best. You have 6 crew members in this thing, which is quite a lot, and I have to say they do seem to die a lot as well. I'm not sure if it's because people shoot a lot of premium shells and they travel further through your tank because of the penetration, or I'm not entirely sure, but loader seems to die quite often, the driver seems to die quite often, and the commander seems to die rather often. So in order of most to least often, I would say that the driver dies the most, then the loader, then the commander. And like every other game, at least one crew member will die. So, yeah, I don't know why, but it might just be down to the shells that people shoot at your face. So, let's take a look at the view range. 350, not that fantastic, as you can see here. It's on par with the IS-3, but lower than the rest. Signal range, well, it's good enough. I mean, really, who cares about signal range? It doesn't matter in this game. There's no real point to it. If it's over 700, good enough. HP pool at 1650 is fantastic, so can't complain about that. It has a lot of HP. Chance of fire 15%. Oddly enough though, this thing gets set on fire much more often than you would think possible. And I don't know why this is. It's not like I get shot on the engine deck all that much. I usually have my front to people, so I don't know, but I've noticed a lot of fires with this thing. And one other issue I've noticed is the turret gets jammed quite often. Like, out of the last 20 or so games I played on it a couple of days ago, I don't know, I've had multiple turret jams. Like, in 20 games I must have had 5 or 6 turret jams. Now, it doesn't sound like that much, but if you look at what that is in percent, that's like 25% of the games. So that is a lot. I don't know why. It seems like the modules just got weaker since recent times. I'm not quite sure about that. And that is really a downer to this tank, because it's a pretty awesome tank and it can be a beast. But I guess lately people are just shooting so much more premium rounds that this tank is not quite what it was before. It has kind of lost its edge. Now, you can still have those games, don't get me wrong, but it seems to have sort of lost its edge, and it's not quite as good anymore, or everybody just knows where to shoot it. I'm not sure, but... So, speed on this thing is pretty terrible with 30 kilometers an hour forward and 11 back. This thing is basically a lumbering beast, is what it comes down to. Horsepower per ton, not the best, not the worst. Track reverse 18 is pretty damn slow, especially compared to the rest. Yeah, this thing really is a lumbering beast, but once we get to the weight of this thing, you kinda see why. This thing is over 100 tons. Yeah. So, we have gun elevation 12 degrees, not all that much, especially compared to some of these others. Gun depression 6 degrees, it sometimes struggles. This is quite literally Chinese depression, as you can see. It sometimes struggles where if you're on slightly hilly terrain, it can be very difficult to peek over a hill and shoot somebody on the other side, because that 6 degrees really isn't all that much. 8 degrees, of course, being pretty damn good on a Tiger 2. But yeah, that 6 degrees, you will struggle with it from time to time. I mean, it's still better than the IS-3, and it's on par with the 110. But yeah, it's just, yeah. Rate of fire, 5 rounds. Again, I keep saying this every time, but these numbers are rounded down, so it's actually 5.64 rounds a minute, but you can't really shoot 0.64 rounds a minute, so we've taken that off and give you the actual number that's in, not theory, but practice is what you can do a minute. So 5 rounds a minute versus 6, 6, and 4, so it's kind of in the middle. Not the best, not the worst. Dispersion at 0.38 is, again, not the best, not the worst. It's, out of heavy tank guns, this thing seems to me at least fairly accurate, but I do have a decent crew on the thing, and that definitely helps. Aim time 3.4 seconds is, of course, pretty long, especially compared to the 2.5 seconds over here. That is fantastic, wow. 2.78 and 3.4, so it's on par with the worst, pretty much. Damage per minute, 1600, not fantastic, but you do get good penetration, and we'll get back to that in just a moment. 1600 is not the lowest, but yeah, it's not fantastic. So what do you get? You get a reload of 10 seconds, which is not that much worse than these guns, but it's better than the IS-3. So once we take a look at the gun here, 320 damage and 227 pen is actually not bad. 225 pen, 215 and 225. So it's actually out of pretty much all the tier 8 heavies. I'm trying to think. Maybe the British. No, I don't think so. No. Well, maybe. I think the British has the 20-pounder gun, which is 226 pen. So this might actually be the highest pen gun, normal ammo, of any tier 8. I'm not 100% sure about that, but yeah, that's pretty damn good. So good penetration on the gun, which really helps. 320 damage is a nice average. It's not, you know, a very big damage. It's not like boom and there goes a quarter of your health against an equal tier, but it's definitely enough to not make people want to run in front of your gun. It's actually the same damage as some of these other tanks here as well. Once we take a look at the premium shells, though, 289 penetration, 285 here, 265 and 265, so really good APCR penetration as well. So that's nice, and the HE 420 is pretty standard, as you can see all around here, and 62 pen, yeah, well, it's HE. So that is the statistics of this tank. Let's actually take a look at it in game, shall we? And here we are in the garage. Now let's first off take a look at this thing. This thing is pretty gigantic. So this is a 110. This is a KV-4. This is a T-29, which is a pretty big tank. And 103, pretty big tank. Yeah, this thing is pretty damn huge. This is the Tiger 2, still smaller. Yeah, this thing is pretty gigantic, and so is his gun. Now, that's pretty ridiculous, isn't it? So yeah, what I was saying about the armor, like this slope is pretty well protected, but you do have this flat plate here, and the turret, as you saw before, is only 180 front. It is sort of rounded, so it can bounce. This machine gun port here is quote-unquote a weak spot, but you still need over 200 pen to get through there. I think you need about 150 to go through the machine port. Driver slit is a weak spot, so Lower plate is a somewhat weak spot if you're not shooting down from too close to it, so there's more than enough weak spots on this thing, but it's still a very strong tank. But lately I found the armor functioning less and less, and like I said, I don't know if it's just because people shoot more premium rounds nowadays, or not entirely sure, but I do feel like the armor is not holding up as well as it did before. So I yesterday I had to think, finished my grind on the KV-4, and I actually researched the ST1. And I'm pretty much just now waiting for the ST1 to go on sale, and I'll buy it. As you can see, it's 3.5 million. I do have enough to buy it, and I'm probably gonna sell my KV-4, but not yet. I'll wait for a sale. I'm in no rush whatsoever. One thing about the ST1 before we get back to the KV-4, the stock gun on this thing is terrible. This is the same gun you get on the IS. Yeah. A tier 7 tank, tier 9 stock gun. I don't know what they were thinking. Like, that is just ridiculous. It seems with this line, with the KV-4 and the ST1, they just wanted you to suffer and not get anything fun. That's what it seems like. Now, don't get me wrong, it gets a pretty nasty gun in the end here, but yeah, you pretty much have to free experience this thing, because it's just not doable. I mean, 175 pen at tier 9 is not gonna function. So that's one thing about the ST1. Same thing goes for the KV-4 though. If you're wondering where it's located, by the way, you go down to KV-1, T150, KV-3, down to the KV-4 here. Bit confusing with all the numbers, KV-4, IS-3, IS, yada yada yada. Yeah, and in case you're wondering, this is an ST1, not an STI. The I is the Roman numeral for 1, because there's no 1 in the Russian text in letters. So that's why they went for an ST. Yeah. So, KV-4. What do you need to know? Well, if I'm not mistaken, and I don't think I am, you can actually mount the final gun on this thing without getting the tracks. Now, it's been a very, very long time since I played this tank, since I got it from like stock, but I'm pretty sure you can mount the gun without tracks. And the gun, if you do have to get the tracks first and then the gun, but make the gun your priority. Get it. As for the turret, some people say that they rather stick with the stock turret because it has less weak spots. You can see it on the picture here. This is a stock turret. It's a lot flatter, so you have a lot less height, but the front of the turret is weaker as well. It says it's 180, but it really isn't. 150, 140 versus 130, 130. So side and rear armor are stronger on the newer turret. You gain some view range, 350, 320, and you gain some HP. So I would suggest getting the turret. It's only 14.8k. It's not that expensive. Get it, but get the gun first. And you also get a rate of fire buff and slight increase in accuracy, I do believe. But I would say get the turret. It just helps you grind this thing out. I rarely see people with the stock turret anymore, so I would suggest don't do it. Just get the final turret and get the final gun, and make that gun your priority. It really makes this grind so much easier. So, let's take a quick look at my stats, what I've done in this thing. By the way, for consumable, or not consumables, equipment here, I went with a gun rammer because why not? Gun laying drive, I don't know why I went with a gun laying drive. I tend to go with a vertical stabilizer or fence, but I don't know, I probably had one laying around back then. It's been a long time. I've had this tank for a very long time, and I've just not played it, so I never really got past it. I was pretty damn close for the last half year plus. Since December or something, I've hardly played this thing. But yeah, and a spoiler liner. Because this thing is already magnet. It's up to you if you want to get the spoiler liner or not. It's up to you. I kind of like it because this thing does tend to get shot at by RD a lot. It's slow, it's big. But it's up to you. If you prefer to run something else, run like vents and help out with your reload and your aim time and accuracy and maneuverability and all that, that's a very good one to put on as well. I would probably recommend at the very least a rammer, vertical stabilizer, and vents or a spotliner here, but that one's up to you. The other two, yeah, you could put an enhanced gun laying drive on. I'm pretty sure I just had one laying around, so that's why I got one on. So I was gonna go to the statistics here. There we go. As you can see, out of the tanks I still have in my garage, that's why I checked that. It is my 5th highest played. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever, something. So I've played this thing quite a bit. Average experience is not all that high, but it's not bad. So yeah, let's take a look here. 53% win rate, not bad. Battle survived 33%, could be better, but it's not bad. 78% hit rate, pretty good. Damage ratio over 1 is always good. Destruction 1.45, pretty good. Armor efficiency use 1.1. I block almost 1500 damage a game. That's not bad. That's pretty much my own health pool extra. So I pretty much double my health pool every game. On average, I do 1400 damage, so I absorb about 1500, and I do about 1400 damage, and I take 1300 plus an additional 1400 from bounces. I spot just shy of 1 person. I kill just shy of 1 person a game. Max experience was almost 1900. 4,444 max damage, and I destroyed 5 max. I don't know, some tanks just cannot seem to get that top gun. I don't know why. Probably down to the speed. Like, the problem with slow tanks is you just can't get anywhere or everywhere where you want to go, where you really need to be to ambush someone. You need to very much anticipate with a tank like this, which is definitely difficult from time to time, but not saying it's impossible, but if you have a tank that's faster, then you can actually chase someone, you can, put a shell in them, you can catch up to them. This thing, you just have to cut him off, and if you can't, then GG, you're not going to catch him. So that's kind of the problem. I did manage to pick up a Mark of Excellence, and on my way towards the second one, not quite there yet. Got 5 high calibers, 3 Confederates, 19 steel walls. Yeah, this thing gets quite a bit of steel walls. 2 bronze arms, apparently. A eye for an eye. I recently rammed somebody to death and died as well. And 2 spotters and 2 kamikazes. Yeah, people that ram me. I yesterday had a game where E75 at 100 or so health decided to ram me. He went downhill, and I was like, sure, I'll take it. So I turned my tracks into him to take less damage. I think I took 100 damage and I killed him. Free kamikaze badge. So yeah, don't ram this thing. It's 100 tons. It's not that light. So yeah, that is the statistics that I've played in this KV-4. I have enjoyed it for the most part, but let's take a look at some gameplay, shall we? And here we are with some gameplay. Now, in the interest of time, I am gonna skip forward. Well, not just speed up things a bit. This is the normal speed, about 25, 26. Eventually, you'll get up to 30, but look how long it takes to actually get there. Yeah, this thing really is not the fastest out there, so we're just gonna go through this a little bit faster. Oh, KV-85, put a first shot in, and we set up for some angling here. Now, one thing you need to know is when you're angling this thing, when you're between shots, just over the top. And what you'll see here, let's pause it real quick. What you'll see here is that I turn my turret, and you basically do the exact same thing as you would in a E75, in a E100, in a mouse. You turn your turret away as well. You don't keep facing them with your turret, because your front is actually not the strongest part of your turret. Well, it is, but if you angle it away from them, all they have is your side, which at that kind of angle, this is the angle they have then, right? If you straighten it out, it's just going to bounce off that side there. It's kind of hard to show you, but at that kind of angle, it's just going to bounce off the side, and the front becomes a little bit stronger. So it's always a good idea, if you can, to make sure you angle. I'm getting so unlucky with my shots in the beginning of this game. It's unbelievable. So, waiting for that KV to pop out again. Oh, but shot goes high again. and that is the .38 accuracy for you. It just, from time to time, will disappoint you. Now, one thing you need to know is that while doing this, I was actually trying to do heavy tank mission 15, so I was actually trying to get shot, so that's something you definitely need to remember. You go for that cheek shot, sadly don't make it, darn it. If you wonder where to shoot the T28 prototype from the front, it's kind of hard to show you. I'll show you in a second when we get a better viewpoint. KV-2 still out there, waiting for that reload. Right now I don't have to turn my turret away because they can't see my turret, so that's why I'm not angling it right now. Slowly backing out, put a shot in, go back forward, and pretty much give him nothing to shoot at. And he just finishes off the tank behind me. Well, should be standing. Oh, the back of the turret on a T28 prototype. Come on, flight through. Yes, there we go. I do believe there's actually an ammo rack in the back there as well. Not 100% sure, but I think there's an ammo rack. So I'm angling away here. So, just off to the left and right of the gun is where you want to shoot a T28 prototype if you have enough penetration. Oh crap, come on, come on, come on, I don't want to get shot in the face. Come on, come on, reload, reload, reload. Yes. Whew. That was a nerve-wracking moment. I was holding down my fire button. Okay, do you see where my mouse is aimed at right now? Right there, right in that flat little bit, right next to the gun mantlet is where you want to shoot it in the front. I don't know off the top of my head how much pen you need, but I'm just gonna guess here, so don't quote me on this, but I'm gonna say about 200 pen should be able to go through there. As you can see, I get a green marker, and there we go, goes in, and that's how you pen a T28 prototype from the front. It's not the easiest weak spot to hit, but every time he's facing his gun towards you, you actually have a good chance to shoot at him. So, yeah. So right now I'm debating going forward here. I look at my map going like, we have 2 people on the hill. They have most of their team on the hill, and the AMX 5100 is reloading. I'm gonna try to support the hill. So far we pretty much lost none of our health. We put pretty much, no, we fully killed a KV-2, and we did 2, I'm gonna say, 2 or 3 damaging shots into the T28 prototype. So in the interest of time, I'm gonna speed it up again. The speed actually goes down to 9 kilometers an hour going up this hill. It's pretty bad. Okay, so right now there's a Centurion here, and I don't really feel like what I normally do, side scraping with my front up against the wall, and it takes too much time, so I decided to reverse ass scrape. And oh crap, -6. Well, we pen him, he doesn't pen us. I think the reverse ass scrape was a success. AMX 5100 takes a shot in the face from the Centurion. We're almost reloaded, he tracks him, and we finish off the Centurion. Sadly, the AMX 5100 gets shot once more by the IS-6. Not really ideal, but okay, he's gonna reload. We're gonna push forward, make sure that this IS-6 doesn't push into him. We set up for some more side scraping action here to not show too much. And he pens us. Where does he pen us? I wonder. Is that a penning shot? Kinda looks like it. Did he pen us like in the top of our hatch? That's bizarre. I guess he did. Well, in the meantime, we spot artillery, and he tries to put a shell on us, and he misses, obviously, and he gets finished off. Haha. We push up the hill here, and I'm gonna speed this up again, because slow ass tank, interest of time. There we go. And we put another shot in. If you have over 200 pen, a good spot to pen the, I was debating jumping down, he's like, no, I need to carry this. Can't jump. If you want to shoot the IS-6, there's a little square plate on the front. Shoot that. When you have over 200 pen at least, I don't know exactly how much you need, but you need, I think around 200 pen, give or take. So I'm gonna go down first here, because I can take a shot, and the AMX 5100 can't. Try to put in tracking shots, sadly don't make it. He puts in a tracking shot, but he finished him off without taking any shots, so that's fantastic. Taken out, and all we did, or all we got, is a little bit of track damage. Well, I can live with that. So, we need to reset cap quickly. We got a Panther 88 on cap. FV3 or 4 just spotted him, which is very useful. Now we know what's there. And by the speed of the countdown, or count up, I guess, there's only one person on cap, it's just him. AMX 5100 tries to put one in on the move, and he gets penned by the 88. We put a shot in as he reverses. I'm trying to just push him back, trying to make him run away, but he's having none of it. I'm trying to save my aim. Dang it. Going for that engine deck there. I mean, it's a German tank. You always gotta try and light them on fire, right? So, we keep pushing forward here. Now, what I said before is that you don't chase people in this tank. What I'm doing here is I'm waiting till he disappears, and I double back. I'm not gonna chase him. I'm gonna cut him off. That's what you do in this tank. You don't chase. You can't chase. So, we turn our tank around here, and we go peek-a-boom after him. Oh, crap. And our plans get foiled by this damn light tank showing up in the wrong damn position for us. And we finish him off. Now with this gun, most of the time, if it's like 50% aimed at that kind of range, you can just shoot and you will hit it and pin it. Most of the time. Penetration on the gun is pretty good. So, where did that guy go? Okay, not there. So, did he double back as well? That's what I'm thinking right now. That's why I'm turning around here. So, he has six kills. He's no slouch. He's been around and he's done the work. So, crap. But I do have the health advantage. But by now, I'm gonna assume that he just switched to premium round. So, my armor at this point is useless. Oh, and we get a great spot off there. Fantastic. Now we know where he's at. That was really good to know. I could have come around the corner here a little bit better, but all he does is track us. I'm not sure if he actually did damage or not. I think so, but I don't think he... Whoa, and we get lit on fire. That's what I mean with this tank. I mean... I can't tell where he shot us, but he shot us in the side and at this kind of angle, which is very debatable that he even penned that. So that's what I'm saying. He must be shooting premium. Otherwise, there is pretty much no way in hell he would have penned that. Even with premium, I'm still surprised he penned that. So, I don't know where the shot went in. I can't quite see it. But yeah, engine fires are a common thing on this tank, which is weird and annoying as hell. Trying to get that shot in. Sadly, don't reload in time. Hoping he peeks out again. I think he's just thinking about running away like a little beep. So yeah, that did a lot of damage to us, that shot. So we come around the corner here and take another shot, fine, and we finish him off with a fantastic shot. I'm not gonna lie, that was lucky to hit him there. And yeah, I don't know what else I would have done to fight this out with him. It would have been very difficult because I can't chase him. And that probably is why I don't have 6 kills on this thing yet. The stars really need to align if you want to get a top gun on this thing. You can't flank people, you're too slow. You can't chase people, so at the end of the game, when there's multiple wounded tanks, you can't really go after them and finish them off. Now this thing is great for pushing flanks, it's great for holding flanks, but it's so slow that you just miss out on late game killing a lot. So sure, you can get 6 kills, the gun can definitely do it, the armor and your health pool will definitely be able to do it. It's just the fact that it's so slow that you can't quite keep up to people and you can't finish them off. So that's kind of the problem with this tank, it's very, very slow. Like, eventually on flat hard ground you will do 30, but that's about max. So yeah, that is the KV-4, and I think this game showed everything. It showed its speed, it showed the side scrapability of it. Although not as good as I wanted to, it was definitely not the best blocking game. But it shows you the gun performance. Yeah, it's kind of the whole package. Like, you can move around the map, of course. It's not as slow as a T95. Definitely not. It's twice as fast. Woohoo! That doesn't mean a whole lot, twice as fast, but yeah. But it also is, that is probably its biggest weakness. It's so slow. Its turning rate is very slow. Its acceleration very slow. It's gigantic. So put that all together, it makes you an arty magnet that doesn't really... You can get away from arty, but it's difficult. You can't zigzag. In that respect, it's like a T95. If you're spotted and you're in an open field, just say hello to the arty show, because you will be kicking it in a second. And that's why I run a spall liner. And I actually got that spall liner before the heavy spall liner was introduced. So I only paid 100k for that spall liner, and it's now costs, what, 800 or so? So I got it really cheap back then. But yeah, that is the KV-4, and when its armor holds up, it's fantastic. The gun is fantastic, can't complain. It does misbehave from time to time, but which heavy gun doesn't? Hold down, it really can't. You're better off side scraping with this thing than hold down. Its side armor is fantastic with 150mm at a good angle. You can bounce a lot of shells. I don't mind tangoing with tier 9s and even tier 10s, although tier 10s tend to sometimes be able to go through, but even some of them are switching to APCR rounds, which is really sad and funny at the same time. So, side scraping this thing is fantastic. Turret is probably the weak spot on this tank, as well as the flat bits, like that flat plate in the middle there. And it's pretty flat lower plate, which, you know, is sort of angled still, but you really want to hide it, so yeah. But overall, its armor is pretty tough, and when you are at top tier, you can have some monster games in this thing. I've had a lot of steel walls, I've had a lot of bullying games, a lot of pushing flanks and actually being the one that managed to push the flank successfully on your own against multiple opponents, you know, and that's where this thing excels. Now, I don't think I'm gonna keep this thing because the speed of it is kind of the drawback, like I just said. It brings a lot of problems with this tank, and it just means that with the dynamicacy of the battles, it's hard to keep up sometimes, and that can be frustrating and can actually damage your results because you just cannot get around that corner in time to get that kill or to finish somebody off. And it's, you know, it still functions, don't get me wrong, it's a pretty damn good tank and probably one of the best tier 8s. I personally don't like the T32, which a lot of people seem to enjoy. KV-3 seems to be pretty well adopted by everybody as one of the best tier 8 tanks, and that's because it has decent armor, not as good as this thing, but it is angled and definitely very troll. But it has a speed over this thing. It doesn't have as good as a gun, it's slightly worse, but you get more damage out of it as well, so if you do pin, you do more damage. But I would say overall, this is definitely in the top 3 of the normal tier 8 heavies. And I would say for me, it's probably my favorite heavy tank out of the non-premiums. T34, of course, being my favorite, but out of the non-premium heavies, this is probably my favorite. It's a good mix of everything. And here we are with the stats. Mastery Badge, Ace Tanker, Fighter, Duelist, Fire for Effect, and a high caliber. We managed to damage quite a bit of people. We got some spotting damage. Okay. Oh, we actually spotted the artillery. We barely had a line on them. We got a cap reset off. That's good. So, I would say that this was kind of a carry. 1400 experience, 4444 damage done, and 4 kills. That's a lot of force. Fired 22 shots, hit 18, pen 16. Not a bad ratio if you think about it. We were actually sniping some of those shots. Not long range, but... So yeah, walked away with 25k profit and 1600 experience. We had some bonus stuff going on, so yeah, the KV-4, it's a really strong tank, but I feel like nowadays it's not as strong as it used to be, and the armor just doesn't quite hold up all that much. We only blocked 1200 damage in this game, but apparently that was enough for... Ta-ta-ta-ta! I actually didn't notice this at first, that I finished Heavy Tank 15. What I actually thought is that I had to block 6000 damage. I don't know why, but that's what I read. But it's actually damage caused, damage received, and blocked must be 6000 HP. Well, I did 4.4k damage, 1200 blocked, and I took most of my health and damage, so yeah, that equals 6k plus. So let's get our 4th female crew member for our... Yeah, CDC has now a full female crew. Woohoo! And I got my Stug. Woohoo! Yeah, double win. So that is the Stug done, and I've already been working on the next one. I've been on a sort of secret semi-crusade to actually get these missions done lately. And I've been working on it pretty hard. In the last week, I think I finished... I don't know, around 15 or so missions in a week's time. So yeah, I've been working on it pretty damn hard, and yeah, the result is there. Let's see, snapshot. Yeah, that's probably a good one for a CDC. That thing snapshots a lot on the move and stuff. And repairs because, yeah, RD magnet, it's big. So yeah, full female crew. This is going to my AMX 30 that I'm probably gonna go for, or the bad shot. I still don't know where I'm gonna go, but that's for a long time away. So for now, I just trained them for this tank, and I'll retrain them whenever I get that tank. Oh look, it's a Stug. Yeah. I'm probably gonna just discard this crew and just put my normal crew in to train my other German TD crew. Yeah, they don't come with a full 100% crew. Well, 100% crew, but not a full 100% skill, sadly. So, yeah, I'm probably gonna use my pre-existing crew. But still, it's nice to get 100% crew with it. And I'm gonna get working on the second one, the heavy TD American TD mission thingamajiggy. I've already got like 4 of the heavy tank missions done, so I'm really working on getting these missions done for once. And it's been kind of fun trying to get them done, and frustrating at the same time. For some reason, the get 3 kills, and 2 of which have to be 2 different tank types, was impossible. I was even platooned up with Lola, and we just could not, for the life of us, get those kills. It was ridiculous. And then when you don't pay attention, it gets done. So yeah, that is the KV-4, people. Very strong tank. Probably the most armored tank at that tier for the normal tanks, not including the KV-5, which probably is slightly more armored. And yeah, it doesn't have any glaring weak spots like the KV-5, but the whole front is not that strong-ish. There's a lot of weak spots that people don't really even have to aim for. If they just hit a flat surface, they'll be able to penetrate and stuff. So it's kind of, it's problematic. Side scraping is pretty damn good at. I have, well, you saw the average damage blocked. That's by no means the massive amounts that I've done. Over 2k blocked is not unheard of on that tank at all. I've done multiple over 2k blocks in the last 20 games that I played. So, very strong tank, a good frontliner. It struggles in open fields with a lot of artillery, and lately there's been a lot of artillery, so it's been a bit of a up and down with this tank. It's fun to play, it has a good amount of armor, it just doesn't always function like you want, and you don't always get city maps, so it's good, and it has its downsides, but then again, every tank has. So yeah, that's the KV-4. I would say overall it's a pretty good tank, but it's a tough grind from the start. You pretty much get nothing carried over from the tank, so do keep that in mind. You might want a free experience or just play it, which is doable but not fun. So that's the KV-4. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more, please subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.